We will now take idealism and perennialism to the next two tools of philosophy, and the third one is axiology, which is values, ethics, and aesthetics. In other words, what this tool helps us see and analyze in what we try to teach is what is the value of it, what is the beauty of it, what is the moral relationship between what we are trying to teach to our students and how we are trying to teach and through what means. So all these aspects have to be looked at when you focus on the moral upbringing of young people. Again, because this is still idealism and perennialism, we are still hooked on to the classics and the great books. And therefore, what morals do those stories, do those novels, do those writings of literature help us bring forward to our children today? Because morals have stood the test of time, even then people wanted respect and honesty and wonderful values like that. Even today, people want those values, and therefore trying to make that connection between yesterday and today with the old writings, because values have not changed. Moral understanding is still the same. Because values are changeless, determined by the very nature of reality. Because values are real. Speaking the truth is real, not stealing is real, obeying is real, showing respect is real. So values are real. And because they have stood the test of time over decades and centuries, and because the values, no matter in what culture, nation, country you are in, the values are still universal. And therefore, bringing those universal values into our classrooms, these values that have stood the test of time are important things to teach children today, especially because times have changed, but values have stayed the same. We would still want the same values for our children today. We need to teach those values through the classics and the great books. Logic, which is the fourth tool, has to do with thinking. So how does one think? And thinking happens in two ways, deductive and inductive. Deductive is through a systematic top-down approach where you take an issue or problem and you run it through step by step, while inductive has to do more with experiences and what you have learned in the past. Taking both these things together help individuals think. So when an individual thinks, rationality comes in, because you have to think with an open mind. You cannot think with a closed mind, because if you think with a closed mind, thinking will go to waste. So rationality comes in. You begin to see the rationale behind something, whatever that something may be, a task, an episode, a situation, an activity, an account, whatever that may be, but you see the rationality behind trying to do that. Deductive thought is developed by studying classics and through the Socratic dialectic. Again, the great books is stressed. We are still looking at idealism and perennialism. So all the four tools will take us through the classics and the great books. Whether we are looking at reality, whether we are looking at truth, whether we are looking at moral understanding, or whether we're looking at developing the intellect. These philosophies believe that all this through the four tools can be developed, incorporating the great books and the classics. Now, while the great books and the classics are good pieces of literature, and I'll admit they have stood the test of time, but that does not mean that you don't bring in any of the good modern stuff that has also come about. So I think as teachers today in the 21st century, we need to balance between the great works, the great books, the classics, and the modern literature and writings that are also coming about. That balance will help students see the connection between the past, their current, present, and into their future.